Well, hi there. Warm welcome. You're watching Blueprint Explosive Exclusive, and I'm Meghna Dekar. Well, here is a significant question. Where do you draw that fine line between inspiration and plagiarism? And did international Italian luxury brand Prada turn into a chappal chor? Why are we asking you that? Because a slice of India just paraded onto the global fashion runway, but without a name tag or any courtesy to India. India's iconic Kolhapuri chappals recently made a surprise appearance on Prada's men's spring and summer 2026 runway in Milan. We are going to show you those visuals so that you can look very closely and recognize nothing other than India's own pride, the Kolhapuri chappals. Made in India, Kolhapuris, it will be somewhere around 450 rupees. It can go up to perhaps 12,000 if it's really expensive. But if you want to buy the Prada variant of the Kolhapuri chappal, it's going to cost you about 1.7 lakh rupees because it's priced at 1,000 pounds. And it's not just the Kolhapuri. There are other India's legacy which has been stolen as well. The dupatta, for example. The dupatta, did you know, has been rebranded by Western fashion superstars, and they have called it now the Scandinavian dupatta, the Scandinavian scarf. Something you could have picked up in India at 600 rupees, perhaps on the higher end, even 15,000. But now it is being rebranded as the Scandinavian scarf, and it gets sold at a premium of about 10,000 rupees. It's not just that. Let's also tell you about the third one, the humble chola. The humble man's chola is also a big fashion statement abroad. Why? Well, this chola, which sells for merely 100 rupees, if not less in India, is now being sold by fashion brands for a whopping 4,100 rupees. Look at the price difference when they rebrand India's tradition, our legacy, our art, our crafts, and our rich heritage, and rebrand it and sell it in the West. This is not the first time that the West is stealing fashion from India, as many put it. The West is, of course, going full desi when it comes to this. The Kolhapuri chappals, it's important for us to understand. This is handmade. This is sun-dried sandals which have been crafted painfully by our artisans over the centuries. But this has now become Prada's latest collection, which features Kolhapuri chappals. Let's look at our dupatta. A symbol of India, something that people from across the world identify Indians with. A feature of South Asian fashion and worn by Indians. It's named as the Scandi scarves. That's right, it's being called the Scandi scarves or the Scandinavian scarves when they are worn by the European. Why rebrand it? Of course, we all know about the Bandhani. This is a pattern which is popular in India. It hails from Rajasthan, from Gujarat as well as Madhya Pradesh. They've made their way to Europe as well. Quietly were morphed as the bandanas. Did you know the bandanas that many of the stars wear on their head, around themselves, actually come from Bandhani? That's the origin of it. Of course, then you have the Pashmina. The term Pashmina is being misused for cheap scarves. Western fashion fell in love with these fine woolen shawls, but not everything that you buy is a Pashmina. Something that all of us know because of the branding that they use so very generously, even on non-Pashminas. So coming back to the Kolhapuris now. The Kolhapuri chappals, well, they have been granted a GI tag, which is why we are talking about whether this is going to be inspiration or whether this is plain old rip-offs. What is a GI tag that Kolhapuri chappals, after a very long, decade-long battle, they managed to get? Well, this GI tag is a mark of authenticity and origin, which means that only footwear which is made in specific 8 districts can be called Kolhapuris. Not everything. Let's break down which regions are being covered and what this GI tag really means and why it matters so much. For example, you have this tag which was granted in 11th of December 2018 after a 10-year-long battle. Now, this was a tag which is recognized as a handicraft under Class 25, which was granted by the Controller General of Patents and Trademarks. A GI, remember, boosts national and global recognition. A GI tag is valid till 3rd of May 2029. Now, even as we speak, there was no GI tag, remember, which was being used by Prada as they were inspired. Which are the areas which get covered? Like if you have a GI tag, only Kolhapuris can be made in certain districts. Which are these districts? In Maharashtra, you have, of course, Kolhapur, Sangli, Satara, Solapur. In Karnataka, Belgaum, Bagalkot, as well as Bijapur, Dharwad. These are the areas. If you make the chappals only in these areas, can you geotag it? Can you use it and say that this can now be tagged as a Kolhapuri? This tag, remember, has jointly been awarded to both the states, Maharashtra as well as Karnataka. What's the significance of it all? It, of course, will boost national and global recognition. It opens the doors for tie-ups as well, which is why it's so very significant, especially when it comes to e-commerce giants, to have this GI tag and to associate it with India. It helps access domestic as well as international markets as well for our own craftsmen, for our own artisans, and not get cheated. Also, there are authorized districts which can produce Kolhapuri chappals, and manufacturing these outside these zones are an infringement of the GI tag. So that is what the law says. But the story of Kolhapuri chappal dates all the way back to the 12th century, as I was telling you earlier, all the way across in Karnataka, Bidar to be precise, during the reign of King Bijal. In fact, it was Vishwaguru Basavanana, his prime minister, who had envisioned a casteless society and sought to eliminate the stigma which is tied to a cobbler community. So he's the one who embraced the entire Lingayat faith, and these cobblers then went on to develop a unique craft. It is rugged yet regal. This was leather which was being used for footwear that could eventually gain an iconic status, not just in Karnataka, Maharashtra, across India. While their origins do lie in Karnataka, these chappals have earned brand recognition in the early 20th century when the trade started flourishing in areas of Maharashtra, especially Kolhapur, thanks to the patronage of Chhatrapati Shahu Maharaj. Do you see how deeply entrenched these humble Kolhapuris are to the history of India? From royal courts to global ramps, Kolhapuris have walked a very long, proud road. As Kolhapuris make headlines in high fashion, the question remains, what's the acknowledgement for the tradition that all started in India, something that is so intrinsic to India, but today is being rampantly copied by the West? Let me go across to our panelists. Joining us today on the show, we have Reena Dhaka, a fashion designer. Also, we have Priyanka Malik, an international fashion designer. Both of them joining us here on the show. Thank you so much, Priyanka Malik, for joining us. I'm going to come to you first. Can you explain how this GI tag really works? Because many people are saying Indian artisan and our very legacy itself is being stolen by the West, with zero credit being given to the artisans who have kept this art alive of Kolhapuris, the craft of Kolhapuri alive over these centuries since the 12th century onwards. And many are saying, look at our humble Kolhapuri, you can buy it for 450 rupees and Prada is going to be selling it for 1.17 lakh rupees. Why?
Actually, ma'am, thank you for joining inviting me for this valuable moment for this discussion. And I think if all the global fashion brand, all the luxury fashion houses internationally, if they would acknowledge our artisans, our Indian artisans, so that entire world will respect them. I think that if they would do so, they would mention the artisan of our India, and they would mention the root where the design, their inspiration comes from, and it will give them more respect to our, more honor to our artisans, and also those who are preserving this legacy and struggling and surviving very badly for this their craftsmanship, they would become they would honored if the international fashion brand would recognize and would acknowledge their artisans and craftsmanship. And I think it will not just by conversation, and if they would collaborate our designers and they would collaborate our artisans and their creation, entire world will show that their creation as an Indian craftsmanship, not the West craftsmanship. The
Absolutely.
West would market that the Indian craftsmanship. I think
You're absolutely right. Indian craftsmanship have kept this alive for centuries now. Reena Dhaka, you must explain to us, why does this keep happening? Is this allowed? What does the law say? Was it the Jhola the first time? Now our dupattas are being called Scandinavian scarves, the Scandi scarves. You have the humble Jhola. You've seen the bandana. All of this, one after the other. West, of course, taking heavily inspiration. Is it inspiration? Is it plagiarism?
Hi, so thank you very much. First of all, I have learned a lot from your research. Especially my favorite takeaway has been the fact about the king adopting this as a sign of equality, which I didn't know till you informed me. So I have three thoughts on it, mostly. I understand if this is our GI mark and you have informed me, then I assume we can probably put a message across to them or inform the owners or the teams or the ones who work in the sales and distribution for Prada and its group that we would like some kind of acknowledgement for our origins of this design or kind of like a takeaway, like a gratitude or even like a disclaimer sometimes you can get in packaging. And that, I feel, is what one can now ask for, because at this stage, if the show has just happened, this means they have just released a design. They have to still put it in their stores. The other thing is, I don't know where they have made it. Maybe they have not made this in India. The Italians, as you know, are also good shoemakers.
Absolutely.
But there could be also a change in the yarn or a change in a simple design which one can't see when one is seeing a catwalk show. Could be the weaving, could be the yarn, I mean they use like a kind of a leather cord. But what I found I was very happy to see the fact that this would also bring the Kolhapuri back as a trend. You see, because the fashion will always start with these guys on the top who price something very overly, like obnoxiously high, as you are saying.
1.1 lakh.
Trickle down to like a Zara and to the lower level stores. But my best takeaway was that we in India have had this legacy where a men's feet can have the comfort in the months of summer to not be thrown into shoes and socks. So at least with this trend working, this would also encourage such a large population of male consumers to accept such a trend. And you know, sometimes these things start with the controversy or with the beginning is always like this. And then they become actually, over a period of time, they become normal. You know, even the very, very classic office goers may one day, based on the temperature, accept the idea of wearing a pair of Kolhapuris. Now, the acknowledgement of our name, I feel we can push for it. Because see, like Jodhpur, it became,
Who pushes for it?
Jodhpur. So it doesn't mean you can't make it. Nehru jacket, you know, these are called Nehru jacket, or like Mao jacket also, you know, like some people say. But don't forget, in Janpath, when I used to be a young girl, we used to go, it was to be a big trend, it's now back again, of buying gladiators. They were Roman gladiators. And they are with a tie. And if you go there now also, some of the same techniques, I think the same yarn they use in some of the chappal weaving in India. The gladiators are made here, and a lot of it may go anywhere in the West. So let's not just only look at it like a negative thing or a theft. We can now push for the fact that we are upset about this being our design, our heritage, and the way you have explained it, it is a very important cause. It symbolizes our history and a sense of equality. And only these districts actually make it. So maybe they can give us some kind of a credit or some kind of a tag, which will go as a recall value for whoever the consumer on the earth is, that they are picking up a piece of Kolhapuris.
You've made a very relevant point. In my day, I have also worn those gladiators from Janpath myself. But you're absolutely right. When it comes to acknowledgement, that's all we seek. So that India's power, India's soft power, we should call it, our heritage, our history also gets reflected in the West. But Priyanka Malik, you've done a good job as well representing India, isn't it? We are going to pull up these visuals because let me tell our viewers, Priyanka Malik has had the distinction of dressing none other than the Queen. Yes, I am talking about Queen Camilla. You have those pictures there. Tell us a bit about it because it's interesting to see Indian designs, and I believe you based it out of a butterfly and the red rose. Can you explain what you had made for the coronation, I believe, Priyanka, for the evening of the coronation, this dress for the Queen as well as a brooch for King Charles?
Thank you so much, ma'am, for asking me. Actually, I designed the Eternal Rose dress for Queen Camilla on their Majesty's coronation, and I designed the Cosmic Butterfly brooch for the King Charles III on their coronation. And I am so honored because their Majesty was appreciated on my design, and the Queen personally sent me a letter, and the King also sent me an email. They are so much happy to wear it. And the Eternal Rose dress, I'm taking inspiration from the English rose, and the eternal term is for timeless elegance of the Queen Camilla, and the Cosmic Butterfly brooch, which symbolize all the positive transformation with King Charles' coronation. And I also taking inspiration from the mesmerizing colors of the cosmos, which also symbolize the beginnings of the cosmic energy.
Well, that's very beautifully explained. And Reena Dhaka, that is the amount of thought, and the reason why we are discussing this, that's the amount of thought that someone who creates anything, a dress, a brooch, puts in the entire thought process, which is why, isn't it, the West perhaps is now looking east and stealing our designs. Would you call it stealing, or would you call it, Reena Dhaka, something which is going to, in the long run, help our own artisans, help our own heritage to get more eyeballs, to be in the spotlight in the West? How do you swing when it comes to this?
Look, India will all its life, it'll carry on, it'll continue, it has in the past, be a great source for inspiration for artists all over the earth. It will always inspire, because don't forget our history, we're an old country, and between like you have had so much to say about a Kolhapuri chappal and its history. Can you imagine the millions of things we have around us? So whether it is our gods, our goddesses, whether it is our colors, whether it's Holi, whether it is yoga, or our lattes, chai latte, now haldi shots, there will be a lot they will take out of us which helps benefit them. It's how it is. So the best thing is to utilize this, I feel, as a moment, is to not give up our interest, is to try and have the dialogue. Who better than Prada to push Kolhapuri out for us? Let Kolhapur, the region, tell them that we want to be included in this journey. Absolutely. It saves us. This is what it is. And you did it without a thought. And that's hurt us. So you never know, fashion can have compassion, and people are now very much concerned about
fashion with compassion and also with legacy. I think that's beautifully put. Unfortunately, Reena Dhaka as well as Priyanka Malik, we are running out of time, but we are never going to run out of our legacy and the way it continues to inspire the world. This, of course, is India's soft power, something that can never be denied to us. Thank you so much, both of you ladies, for joining us. Without a short break, I'll see you in 2 minutes.